Hey guys, welcome back to the garden. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Kelly, and on today's video I'm going to be taking you all on a tour around my veggie garden. Now, if you have been watching my channel for a little while, you might know that when I do a garden tour, there's usually a lot going on in the garden. Lots to see, lots to show you, and lots of veggies growing. Now, before we get started, just a quick warning. This tour is not going to be like that. Sure, I have things growing at the moment in the garden, as you can see by the pumpkins behind me, but we have had crazy high temperatures here in the garden and dealing with a lot of disease. The bugs, not so much, but mainly disease and heat. And my garden is not looking very nice at the moment, but I thought I would still take you around for a tour just to show you sometimes things, aren't perfect in the garden. Sometimes you have a bad season. Sometimes the weather is crazy or there's lots of disease or bugs. And you can either freak out or you can roll with it. And at the moment, I'm choosing to roll with it. And I thought I would bring the camera out, just do a little walk around and show you what's going on in the garden, what's growing, and what's kind of dying. So welcome, and I hope you stick around. If you do enjoy this video, please make sure you hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe as well. But let's get started. I did warn you, it's not like my usual garden tour. It's not as, I suppose, lush and green. So let's get started, shall we? First up is my pumpkin tunnel, or my pumpkin archway. Now, if you have been watching my videos for a while, you may have noticed at the start of the season, I did speak a few times about the excitement I had about this pumpkin archway and how I couldn't wait for all of the leaves to grow over the top and basically be walking in a tunnel of pumpkin leaves and pumpkins. But I'm sad to say it hasn't quite worked out. Yes, we do have an abundance of pumpkins. I'll have to count how many there are. There's well over 30 pumpkins, which is still fantastic, but it hasn't quite reached all the way over the top. And that's mainly because all season long we have been battling powdery mildew with these pumpkins. I have treated them, I have trimmed the leaves back, the diseased leaves, and it just keeps coming back with a vengeance. So that's very frustrating, but at the end of the day, I'm actually still really surprised and really pleased that we have gotten so many pumpkins. The variety of pumpkin that we're growing in the garden this year is called Butternut Pumpkins, and we actually grew this variety in the garden last year, and I saved all of the seeds. So all of my butternut pumpkin plants that I've got going in the garden this year were actually from seeds that we saved last year, which is pretty amazing. And look at the size of this beautiful pumpkin. It just looks amazing. I've got some that are nearly ready and some that are still green. Now the vine, like I said, it does have some disease, but other than that, it is staying strong and really just pushing through that powdery mildew. I do keep going and trimming back the diseased leaves, so obviously that does help. If I were to leave it, it would just take over the vine and eventually kill the vine. So definitely trying to stay on top of that so I can harvest these beautiful pumpkins. Now, if you're wondering if I need to support these pumpkins, no, I don't. With the butternuts, they are a smaller variety of pumpkin, so I don't actually need to give them any support, and the vine doesn't tend to break. I only had one fall this season, and I have a sneaking suspicion that a bird was chewing on the vine. But other than that, I have loads of pumpkins hanging off the trellis just like this, and I don't need to give them any support at all. They're happy to hang there all season. Even in some crazy windy storms that we have had, I haven't had any more fall to the ground, which is pretty cool. Well, our San Marzano tomatoes are well and truly dying. As you can see, they are either on their last legs or they've already gone. Now, I'm mainly attributing this to the crazy intense heat that we have been having. Today, it's going to be 40 degrees Celsius again. Now, usually, tomatoes stop producing flowers and fruit when the temperature starts getting above kind of 32 to 35 degrees Celsius. But we have had consecutive days in a row of around 40 degrees, and to be honest, the plants are just not coping. As you can see, they're looking really bad, and I really don't think there's anything I can do to save them. So when it's not so hot, I will come out here and I will take them all down, cut them off at the base so the roots can decompose, and I'll take the trellising down and I'll just let this bed rest for the rest of the season. Now, I did also put up some shade cloth over this bed because I knew we were going to get some really extreme temperatures, and I was hoping that was going to help, but to be honest, it was just so hot, the tomatoes really didn't stand a chance. So there goes my San Marzano tomatoes, not looking very good. I'm not really going to get a big harvest of San Marzano tomatoes this year. I did harvest quite a few already before we got those intense days of heat, but the San Marzanos are no more. On a positive note, look at this passion fruit go. It is so lush. I have to say, this is probably the one thing in the garden that is doing absolutely amazing and healthy. So beautiful and green. Amazing. Well, the sweet potato vine behind me is going crazy at the moment. It's still early in the morning at the moment, so the sun hasn't come directly over the garden, and that's why it's looking so nice. But when it is in full sun, the leaves kind of wither a little bit and they don't do so well. But sweet potato is super hardy, so it does bounce back over the night time. It recovers a little bit from the heat of the day. I do also have some African horn melon as well, which is spreading throughout the garden. I really do need to control that. It is a type of cucumber, also known as a Kiwano melon or an African horned cucumber. The vines are incredibly itchy, so they do take over the garden a lot. Now, I didn't actually plant this plant. I did grow them in the garden last year, and they have just resprouted. They are extremely hardy to my area, and they will become a weed if you don't control them. So I do need to get this under control, but we were hoping to have some Kiwano melons, as they're quite sweet. They almost have like a banana taste, but a kiwi fruit texture. It's very strange, very strange. This big jungly mess behind me here is my Rockmelon. Yes, can you believe it? I'm actually growing Rockmelon. Well, here there's only leaves anyway. I think I did see some little fruit starting to develop, but there is a big mass of leaves, and for the most part it's looking okay. There is a bit of powdery mildew that has started developing, but I'm just so excited to be getting Rockmelon growing after I had such an incredibly rough start to my Rockmelon seedlings. I think I started them like 4 times last spring, and they just kept dying on me. So I'm very pleased to have this big rambly mess. It is taking over half the pathway at the moment, but it is what it is. I don't really want to trim it back. I'm probably just going to let it keep going. This is one of the reasons why I like growing things vertically, because it's just so much more tidy and it takes up less space. But I'm not going to complain, because we will get some melons out of this. This was a pathway, and now it's taken over by the different melon plants. Now, I did plant some different varieties of Rockmelon. There's some honeydew melon. There's one called Indian Cream, I think, and I'm not quite sure what the other one is called. I just planted a whole variety of different seeds, and I just was hoping for the best, and I am pleasantly surprised. We do have some little baby ones here. Another one here. I do have to watch out for snakes though, because they could be hiding in this mass of Rockmelon leaves, and I wouldn't even know. The cucumbers are doing extremely well. I did do a video on harvesting some cucumbers just last week, in fact, and yesterday I came out and harvested a whole bunch more of cucumbers, which is so exciting because, like my rock melons, I was having a little bit of a rough start to the season as well. I did lose a lot of plants, but they are just absolutely booming at the moment. I've got some growing on this trellis here behind me, and then I've got some growing just running along the ground elsewhere in the garden. Now, I don't usually like to grow my cucumbers going on the ground, but they just germinated themselves, so I left them. The ones on the trellis are actually the ones that I planted, and I've got some here that I might actually pick so they don't get really big. There you go. A regular sized cucumber. I tend to let them stay on the vine for too long and just become huge. We still eat them, but I think a smaller cucumber might be a bit nicer. The seeds aren't so big yet, so I've got a couple more out here that I should pick before I head inside. In this archway trellis, I usually have some silverbeet growing, but that is looking really in a bad way at the moment. I did actually plant some rockmelon in this archway. It was my original planting of rockmelon for the season. Most of them died, but I do actually have a couple that survived, which is slowly going up the trellis. But I decided to plant some beans as my backup, and for the most part, they are doing okay as well. So it's just a bit of a mess in this archway at the moment, but hey, that is okay. We have more melons. I forgot about these ones here, but I did plant them along some mini archways that we've got here in the garden, and I've got 4 of these. I guess they're rock melons. I'm not quite sure. I think they're rock melons. Now, the reason why I'm not sure is because at the point that I planted them out here, a lot of my other melons were dying, and I just had a bunch of seedlings left over, so I just planted them here, not really taking notice of which variety was which because I didn't think that they would survive. Now, I'm not quite sure when they are ready. I don't know if they are like a watermelon, where you've got the tendril here and the little leaf. If that's the case, this one might be ready. But it's still quite on the small side. Maybe I should pick it and... I just had a little bit of a smell, and I could smell this beautiful sweet melon. So maybe that's a sign that it's ready. I'm not sure. I think I'll have a think about whether I should pick it or not. See, I've got another one here, and here's the tendril. It hasn't died back yet. Another one here. The closest tendril is starting to die back. This one here, the tendril has died back, which makes me think, if it's kind of like a watermelon, that it should be ready. I might pick it and take it inside, and we'll cut it open and see. Well, my tomato tomatoes are also not doing very good. It's safe to say that we're not getting any tomatoes from the garden at the moment. As you can see, a lot of the plants have died back. Yeah, I'm looking around and I can't really see any that's doing well. There are still a few little tomatoes that I could pick, but apart from that, I think the plants are pretty much gone. And it's just a really big mess in here now, so I need to clean up in here. Yes, but tomatoes are not doing very good. I'm growing a couple of different varieties of zucchini in the garden this year. This one here behind me is called Cocozelle, and I've got a really big zucchini actually that needs to be picked, so I'm going to pick that now. I'm actually really surprised at the zucchini this year, considering my pumpkins and my rock melons have been affected so badly with powdery mildew. I have had a little bit of disease on the zucchini leaves, but they are just doing incredibly well, which is very surprising. I actually quite like this variety of zucchini because the plant is quite compact, so it doesn't tend to really spread and take over like other varieties of zucchini. So depending on how this lovely big zucchini tastes, I might grow it again, but we'll see. Let's pick this zucchini, shall we? Whoa. Look at that. How cool. Maybe it's been left on there for a little bit too long, but look how cool that is. Check out this zucchini. So like I said, this variety is called Cocozelle, and it looks pretty cool. A pretty cool looking zucchini. It's got these awesome stripes running down the vegetable or a fruit. What is this classed as? I don't know, but pretty amazing looking anyway, isn't it? The leaves are also really cool. Check out the leaves. That's not disease, that's cool patterns on the leaves. How awesome is that? I do have a couple more of these growing just on the next bush, but they're not anywhere near as big yet, so I'm going to leave them for a bit longer. How cool, the Cocozelle Zucchini. Well, that is all for today, guys. I appreciate you joining me today. If you have any comments or questions, please make sure you write them down below, as I will always read your comments and try to get back to you as well. I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and if you did enjoy this video, please make sure you give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. Some big news coming to the garden very soon. And just remember, sometimes things don't go to plan in the garden. Sometimes plants die from the heat or disease, and sometimes it looks like a big mess, but don't worry, that is all part of the journey, all part of the gardening journey, a big learning process. Even when you've been gardening for years, there is always something new to learn, and it's just good to get outside in nature. So I hope you can get out into your gardens today, and I will see you all next time. See ya!